looking for some saplings to do a push cut on. There's been a lot of flooding in this area recently, and I'm looking for saplings that are still green but already bent over from the flooding, so I'm not just testing on saplings for no reason. I mean, sometimes that's what I do, but since there's so many that are bent, I think I can take advantage of that since I'm going to bend them anyway. So let's see what we can find. Here I've got the Mora Black, and just going to try to do a push cut on a sapling here. Sorry, that came right at the camera, but no problems at all. I mean, there's not much bad you can say about a Mora. For the money, you probably really shouldn't have any arguments at all. You could say that they don't have a full tang, which for, you know, extreme longevity and toughness is a disadvantage, but they're just so good for the money. But this is going to be the Blind Horse Bushcrafter. I'm not carrying on my hip because I've got the Bark River today as my primary, but let's see how this will do under tension. It gets through it enough to start the cut, which is what you really want. Again, you can always baton with this through green saplings. Again, this is about 1 inch thick. This is a thicker blade edge. It's a very short convex bevel on the end there, so it is going to be a little bit tougher for pushing through, but it is sharp and it will go through green wood no problem. So you know, certainly more than efficient to get the job started for you, and with a baton this would really turn into a beast, so it does a nice job on that. Alright, found another one that you can see has already been bent over by the water here. This is the Bark River Bushcrafter, and let's see if I can get an angle on this that's not down here where it's already bent. Tension's right here, but I'm going to get it down here. Again, just like the Blind Horse, does a great job of starting it, but the thicker blade profile does make it harder to push all the way through. So in a larger knife, something with a true scandy or a high scandy grind like the Enzo Camper just really excels at this type of work because it's so sharp that it can bite halfway through before there's any pressure almost needed to do any splitting. So, but again, just like the Blind Horse, there's plenty of splitting power of green, but going through something that's hard and fibrous like this, it can do it. Again, this one about 1/2 to about 3/4 of an inch. But anyway, anything too much thicker than 1 inch, you'd certainly want a baton through, I'm sure. But anyway, does a great job with the sapling. Just been kind of working with you know, sharpening here, and then on this end I've just split the wood 4 ways. People use this technique to make fishing spears, candles, torches, that sort of thing, especially with green wood that's not going to burn. Now obviously this is very short for anything other than like a candle, but I just want to see how it'll handle it. Sorry for the sniffles, I've just been battling this, coming off this cold here. Alright, so these are again more just limbs that I took off the tree. Alright, let me get some of these together here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and start. Now what I'm going to do is kind of use the tip of my knife to bring these points sharp. Now that they're separated, it makes the job a little bit easier. I am not going to lash this together because I'm not actually going to use it for anything, but I'm just taking advantage of the sapling. And again, obviously, if this was going to be a true fishing spear, it's a tad short, as we've discussed, but it just shows you that it does a good job of getting in there. I mean, Mora excels at it. This is where the Mora's at home, is doing stuff like this. The edge is very sharp, very fine. That Scandi grind, I don't know if you can see how thin that edge is right there, but it's super sharp, so it's going to be great at cleaning fish. You know, with the tip being very, very sharp, and this great, hope I can show it to you here, this great grind coming to a very sharp point, be good at, you know, cleaning small game for sure, like, you know, a squirrel or anything you may catch in a, you know, in a trap or a snare. Again, survival situation. Everybody has their own preferences for stuff, but Mora does a superb job with these type of tasks. So, same sapling. I truncated through this, I guess, if you can call it that, through these end pieces with the other two Bushcrafter knives that I'm out here looking at. First one I'm going to take a look at here is the Blind Horse Bushcrafter. Neither one of them had a problem going through. Let me get some of that off there. Neither one of them had a problem going through the wood with a baton at the back. So now I'm just going to take a look at how they so sharpen, kind of no problem at all. A little bit closer to the edge. Oh, lost a spear. Oh well. We'll make do with what we got. So hopefully this will not split too bad when I separate this. Kind of going about this haphazardly, but again, similar test to the Mora. I just want to create separation here and see how this is going to sharpen with maybe more just the tip. Oop, split all the way down. But anyway, I'll pull this back together and try to make it fair. And this is a thicker piece than the Mora had, but still, this knife, even though it's got a thicker bevel, a thicker overall geometry, heavier knife, it still is very, very sharp. Good 01 steel from Blind Horse. And handle is very comfortable in a bunch of different holds. You know, going up, I can use this actually as a thumb recess. These little grinds that I've added here with the Dremel are very helpful when pinching. Going backwards, I can pinch. Coming up, again, see I'm pinching and coming the other way on it. And obviously I wouldn't rush this in if I really needed to make this, but for now I'm just trying to get in there and show you can be done. So a little bit thicker, and this has been through a lot, but it's still got a very good edge on it, and it certainly can do the finer jobs as well. I didn't go through a tent stick scenario, with this one, but you can see even the thumb pushing through the spine here. So it does a good job of anything that you need it to do. So it's a great knife. The handle's extremely comfortable. Just for a close-up, I'm going to grab that Mora. The camera was further away. I don't know if I've redone that or not. I doubt it, but you can see this sharp skein. He really bites into the wood, no problem. But again, this edge feels keener, just that hard scanny to 0 there at doing stuff like this, but the other knife's just as capable. Again, I'm not really trying to compare all these. It wouldn't really be fair to do it in my opinion. All these aren't in the same category. Maybe these two Bushcrafters slightly more so than the others, but I'll see how it goes. The same piece of wood. Again, this is the 3V Bushcrafter from Bark River. Just split right down in it. Hasn't been quite through the same paces as the blind horse yet. I have batoned some. The feather sticking and the batoning and stuff you saw with this has already been filmed at this point. I will use this more later, but so no problem. And start a okay there. All right. I would probably go even thicker if I was doing something. I was going to have to take a lot of force to it, but that'll work for now. Grab a couple of these pieces that have already been used. Back of the blade to get those in there. Don't want to split that too far. And again, the downside to any, let's see if I can find a slightly thicker piece. Sorry, trying to. And this jimping, even in this type of hold for me, not quite a pinch up, but similar, just like this, is working very well. It's certainly got teeth to it, but you know, maybe you want that in jimping. I know I do. It's much sharper than like an Essie. But and some people find that uncomfortable. I think it was Virtue of Ice in one of the episodes, that one of his videos he did, he took sandpaper and rounded that off. You know, everybody's got different preferences. Close to good for this. I went a little short on this side, but as you can see, sharp would get the job done. Now you wouldn't need to sharpen these, obviously. If you're making candles or torches, you just need to split it, fill this with resin or bark or whatever you're light source is going to be. And then this is this is the end of it, like it came out of the ground, but I'm be careful not to jab this back into myself. So the knife's still very sharp. And some of this on this end's dry. Some of the bark down here is starting to dry out, so it's a little tougher to go through, but this was with the Bark River Bushcrafter. It had little problem at all getting through there. Go next to the Blind Horse. Hammer it forward a little bit. So, nice job as well. I would say that was the Blind Horse Bushcrafter. I would say the Bark River was sharper in that test. Was able to get through it a little bit easier. Angles were slightly different. All that stuff's got to be taken into account. But now let's take a look at the Mora. See how the Mora does. Mora did a very respectable job. Trying to look at the spine, held up really well. So when it starts to do that downward curve, which the Bark River did, so this is Bark River going directly sideways. Good job. Cross grain's a bit tougher, as you'd imagine, but let's shove there and grab the Blind Horse one more time. See if we can go ahead and fill this. Getting some. There it goes. So all the knives did a great job. I would say got a little bit more reverb out of the Mora. Despite the rubber handle, I don't know if it's because of the tang or the geometry or the thinness or what, but it did rattle a little bit more when I was striking it. Same piece of wood on the same tree. The handle comfort still top notch with the Blind Horse. May have been the angle of attack. The Bark River did seem a tad sharper, but again, it's had a little bit less use. I would say all in all, the Blind Horse and the Bushcrafter were right on par with each other. So if you needed to build a shelter and didn't have an axe, you can see this has got a very good girth for doing some sort of support if you needed it. So very good job at batoning through green wood to build a shelter if needed. Morning, guys. Just enjoying a little bit of coffee and let my I don't know if you can see in there, but let my soup cool. I have that for breakfast. Enjoying a little bit of a fire here before I pack things up and head out of the forest and It's day 3, and just going to do a quick recap on the 3 knives that I was here working with. Just kind of go in order that I looked at them. This is the Blind Horse Bushcrafter again, and I don't think the camera's autofocusing very well, but you can see it's definitely got signs of use. Outstanding knife, especially with the convex added. Handle is just really comfortable. It is a heavier knife, but a lot of the knives kind of in this class are. I'll weigh it and stuff when I get home and take a look at edge retention, but it feels really sharp. I'd say overall this was probably my favorite to use, mainly because the handle was so comfortable in just so many different holds when I try to do different things. It was just very comfortable. Edge sharpness is very good. Edge retention seems very good. Love the sheath. Everything about it's just been really good. I really have liked this knife. Then we have the sorry, Bark River Bushcrafter, and this knife is still crazy sharp. And well, out of video last night, I found some guys not too far from here staying in another campsite. Wound up spending a lot of the evening talking with them, and over by their campsite I found about a 4-inch thick piece of oak, the sapling. It was still sort of rooted in the ground. It was completely dry, been washed up by the flooding, and just to see what it would do, I put it through it, and I batoned straight through 4 foot. This is probably the largest baton effort I've ever done, but it was 4 foot piece. I cut myself a second time. I haven't been very bright this trip. Sitting it on the top of a piece of baton with the baton over here and reaching around to grab it and just nicking the belly and the tip is really, I mean, just going at about that speed, it was enough to make some very clean but noticeable gashes on my hand. So of the 3, edge sharpness and retention is by far the best with this Bark River 3V. Handle is my second favorite in the group, maybe. I don't know. I really like the Mora too, but this knife geometry and this steel and this Scandivex grind has been very good in real world purposes, at least for how I use it. So knife, very good. And then finally, there's always kind of a surprise in the group. It was the Mora Black. I had a feeling with this thick of a blade that it would do fairly well, but it has really exceeded my expectations. It's still fairly sharp. I mean, it's sharp enough it would definitely still, clean an animal or fish and, cut you if you didn't pay it enough attention like I've been doing. This handle is very ergonomic and very comfortable, I'll have to say. When it's not wet out, I mean, this handle is stupid comfortable in my opinion. I really like the Bushcraft Force slashed Bushcraft Black series. This knife did have an advantage in a slightly longer blade. I did find another piece of dry wood and batoned about a 2.5 foot section with it, and then proceeded to baton each of those down and make more firewood. That's what I'm burning this morning. And for a knife in the $50 range, this is outstanding in my opinion. Really do love Mora. Love the heritage. I love the cultural surrounding it, and the black here, the Bushcraft Black, is my favorite. Or I've said before, I don't think I would want a Mora to be my only knife. They don't have the full tang. My experience had been a lot with the stainless. They don't throw sparks well. The stainless steel edges had a tendency to not so much chip, maybe a little bit, but roll. I'll double check this when I get back, but this feels stellar. This just is like, this in my opinion is really taking a Mora knife to another level. It's a very stout knife, and honestly, with the sheath, with the fire steel added and the sharpening stone, it's in a weight class overall Not the exact same as something like a Blind Horse or a Bark River, but very on the heavy side for a Mora. On the sheath side, the only thing I don't like is that there's no extra retention hole up here. Now you could probably drill something that's just to keep it lashed to your leg if that's how you prefer. Sitting, it can be, you know, held sideways. Just it's a little bit more awkward because it's all hard plastic. But I know for at least the Blind Horse number 9 sheath, try it at home. And I like this way better than that cheap thing I've seen on eBay for them. So, not a cheap leather sheath, but you're talking for something in the $40 range. This sheath is awesome. It'll also store the Bark River Bravo 1. I mean, this is how I would probably carry this. I'm a leather preference, and then if you wanted to lash it to your leg, you could. So, anyway, there's a recap on the knives. Most impressive for the money, Mora Black, and highly recommended for more traditionalness, Scandi lovers, anyone getting into backpacker, anyone that just doesn't want to go an insane amount of money on a knife. Highly respect that. If I had to spend less than $100 on a knife with the knife experiences that I've had so far in recent memory where I've been really taking notes, Mora Black is my top pick. Outstanding knife. Handle comfort, durability, decent rust resistance, great edge retention, 01 field resharpening ability. Blind Horse Bushcraft is a superb knife. I really can't wait to get that Woodsman Pro to try. The spear point here isn't for everybody, but that Woodsman Pro and the Saber Grind, I'm really looking forward to getting out and trying that. I did not resharpen this in the field. Specifically, 3 days of green and dead wood use, you know, resin collection, that sort of thing. Want to see how they hold up at home. I'll show you that again later. But outstanding, probably my favorite overall, mainly because of that handle, and it's just crazy solid knife. The sheath's also outstanding. I'm not showing you the Bark River sheath because it's still on my hip this morning, but edge retention, sharpness, great do-it-all knife. Bark River Bushcrafter, superb. I mean, it's still very, very sharp. Very sharp. Does almost everything I threw at it superbly. The handle's second only to the Blind Horse side. So I like this one. I think another thing getting this for me is this one at about $160 and this one for $224. Performance bang for dollar is higher with the Blind Horse specifically because it's so much less expensive. But again, 50 bucks. You know, right on par. All three outstanding knives. I'll look at them a little bit more when I get back inside, but if you've been considered any of them, go for it. I'm going to throw some more wood on the fire there, enjoy my breakfast, and I will see you guys back home.